some noise. And from Team Singapore, coming from Pool A, we have Yuan, Shahin, Roy Hobbs, and Jensen Yu. These are the players from Team Singapore playing in today's game. So please put your hands together for the mixed singles from Team Iran, Shahin KHALEDAN. From Singapore, we have Yuan. Make some noise.
One minute. The original is match played best of 3 and sets. Iran will toss and choose to receive.
We are back at the OCBC Arena Centre Court for the second rubber in this tie between Singapore and Iran. Singapore took the first rubber, Shahid Alam defeating his Iranian opponent rather easily in the end. And that was Esmail Yazdi Hessam. And now coming up very shortly, Steve Ng is up against Shahin KHALEDAN. And Darren, we've been looking a little bit at Shahin's record. He's actually a very accomplished player.
Yeah, he is. He's actually done quite well on the tour. I mean, he reached the Georgia F2 Futures semi-finals. He's actually done quite well for himself in the ITF circuit. And he's ranked 852 in the world, ATP ranking. But he's not quite brought his best game to the Davis Cup this year. Quite a few disappointing performances. And I don't think he's quite performed up to par right now.
Here's Steve Ng. First points to the Singaporean, whose serve has been very, very good so far in this tournament. Well, I've just gone and jinxed that, haven't I?
A little bit uncharacteristic. He started his service games and all his matches very well.
Yeah. I can't even remember the last time he double faulted, and just after I said he's been superb with his serve, he goes and does that. But generally, he's been excellent. Case in point.
Oh, he'd be annoyed he didn't make that.
Much better from Steve Young. I think he's started on a bit more of a positive note than, say, Shahid Alam did in his match.
Yeah, and I can't help but notice, but Shaheen seems a little bit immobile at the back. I mean, he looks a little bit slow. Body language isn't that positive at the moment. I'm not sure if all those poor performances in the previous rounds have actually gotten to his head a little bit.
So, good start for Steve Young. Your early impressions of both players?
I think Steve has started really well. Doesn't seem to be plagued by the same problems that might have been plaguing Shahid. Seems to be hitting the ball solid, with the exception of that one double fault. I think he's served really well. Shaheen seems a little bit. I can't tell about Shaheen. He looks a little bit subdued. I mean, excuse me. He's had a pretty poor run in this Davis Cup, and he's had a few tight first sets, and after that in the second set, you can tell that he's just not able to bring his game to the court. So I'm not sure which Shaheen we're going to see today, but some of the first sets that he played have been quite good.
Nice serve from KHALEDAN.
Much better from Shahin. And you can tell that that serve is quite consistent and it's pretty big as well. Very impressive. 100% first serves in.
Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he? Good start. Very good start.
Good soft hands as well. Couple of wild ones by Steve. I think Shaheen's starting to settle in a little bit more now. And you can tell both wings very solid, very stable, really gets into position well. I take it back about him being a little bit immobile at the back. And yeah, it's starting to show. I think in the first game he was maybe a little bit either overwhelmed or not warmed up. Still trying to settle in. But it's starting to show now his quality. It's good play by Steve.
Steve Ng maybe has been drawing the short straw by playing arguably the best opponent each time, Lee Hong Nam, Harsha Godamana. Where do you think Shaheen fits into all this, into those kind of sort of players?
Well, I think Shaheen's right up there together with the Vietnamese and the Sri Lankan player. And the reason why Steve has been drawn to play them is because he's Singapore's top singles player. So in the Davis Cup, you have to play head to head. And I think it's all a very good learning experience for Steve to be playing against world-ranked ATP players. And that can only do wonders for his tennis. And that's a good backhand down the line there by Shaheen. That's not an easy shot.
As much as he's been up against these top players, I think he's held his own at times, hasn't he?
I think he's gone out there and he's played his game. And he hasn't changed anything. He's not been overwhelmed by the situation. And I mean, shots like that, these are shots that these three players have hit against him all day. You can't really do anything about them. But I think what has impressed me about Steve is that he's gone out there, he's played his game, and he's tried his best. And I think the performance by Steve is really good.
Steve Ng broken then by Shaheen already. And he's building up ahead of steam here, the Iranian player.
It's very heavy hitting by the Iranian player. Really, really heavy ground strokes. Good on both wings. I mean, if you look at how he roots himself and how he swings through the ball, that's going to give Steve a lot of problems. And if you want to see how to hit a double-hander backhand, you should look at how Shaheen contacts the ball so clean in front of his leading leg, and he's able to direct that anywhere. Really good stuff.
So now Steve looking to try and break Shahin KHALEDAN, who's just growing from strength to strength. Served very, very well in that first game of his. And continues to do so.
I must say, stark contrast to his compatriot. Shaheen has come out and he's serving really, really well, and that is a big serve. He's still serving at 100%. Excellent.
But that will give Steve a little bit of confidence. That's beautifully done down the line.
15-30.
Beautiful technique by Steve. Really nice. Not the easiest of shots, but managed to pull it off. Good play again by Steve. That double and the backhand, giving Shaheen something to think about, putting him under pressure. The sheer pace of that backhand. And I can't help but think that Shaheen seems to be seeing the ball a little bit late. A couple of times, it's as though he didn't know that the ball was coming over. I wonder if there's something affecting him with the lighting. That's too good. Really good forehand right there. And it all started with the serve again. Opened up the court, and to execute that down the line forehand. Really good shot, this one.
Well, he's done well to get himself into a breakpoint position here, Steve Hung. Wow, that's a good turnaround. Really good turnaround for a man who's serving pretty well. Steve Hung has broken him.
It's well played by Singapore. I mean, he dug deep, went in there, and again, that's what I'm talking about. Steve hasn't actually retreated from these battles. He stepped up to the plate and he's taken his game to the other player.
Yeah, I got to agree with you that he's not one to shy away from a fight.
No, he's not. Good scrambling by Steve. And Shaheen's trying to dictate all the points, moving Steve left and right, but I think Steve is scrambling really well. Every point, every shot he gets back gives Shaheen something else to think about. Oh, he won't be hitting many of those unforced errors.
That is an excellent serve. First ace of the match. That's more of what it's like on his serve, Steve Hung.
It's good wide hard serve.
Much more confident from Steve Hung. I think we're pretty happy with this.
Went there and took a chance, didn't he? Paid dividends. And you know, against players like Shaheen and the other ATP ranked players, that's what you need to do, because these guys are not going to make many mistakes. You look at Shaheen's first serve, it's 11 of 11, 100%. Just even on the serve, he's not going to give you many free points. And that's why I always feel that you need to go out there and you need to create your chances. And that's what Steve has done. He's now up 3-2 on serve, on Shaheen's serve. Well done.
Well, this guy, Shahin KHALEDAN, he has played against Singapore previously. Iran have beaten Singapore every time they played them in the Davis Cup. They won in straight matches every time. 2002, 2009, 2014. And KHALEDAN was part of that. He beat Joshua Liu 6-1, 6-love last time. But he's definitely got a fight in his hands today.
Beautifully crafted point by Shaheen there. Very, very sure of what he was trying to do. You can tell from the body language he knew exactly what he wanted to do with this. That backhand set it all up. That forehand, that short cross-court forehand. The easiest of putaways now. Bit disappointed with himself. He knows he should have done better. That's a no pressure shot. Goes into an unforced error book. He's finally missed one.
He's human after all. What's interesting is, I just want to point out that while he was at 100%, he was only winning only about half of his points on first serve.
And that's really because Steve has been returning very, very well. And Steve is taking the game to him. That's a good deep shot right there. I think Shahin wasn't expecting to come back with so much zip actually. That's what I'm talking about. Look at the return. Ooh. It's close.
Wow. Break point now. Steve could be breaking him in consecutive games. That's better. Emphatic from Shaheen.
And that single-handed backhand by Shaheen set up everything. The one down the line. This one right here. The next one, sorry. This one set up the shot. And making sure he put it away. What
Again,
a
going
shot.
down the line with that backhand. Wonderfully executed.
That's just not playable. Look at how fast he takes this off the ground. I think Steve's head hasn't even come up yet when the ball came back. Look at that. Too much pressure, too much pace on those ground strokes. I think Shaheen's starting to show how much damage he can do with his ground strokes if you give him the time to really line those up. And I think Steve needs to be really wary of that. I mean, Shaheen can obviously do a lot of damage with that double-handed backhand.
So for you, do you think Steve should be trying to finish points a little quicker?
I just think he needs to go out there and he needs to put Shaheen under a lot more pressure than he is now. I know it's easy for us to say, but Shaheen obviously likes to stand there and dictate the point. That's a good idea by Steve. That's what he needs to do. Step in and don't give Shaheen that time to get in position and hit.
That's the way he's got to do it. Very nicely done. It's that
That-
forehand that set it up.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to hit, open up the court, come in and cut off the angles. You rush the play a little bit. You know he likes to stand there and dictate the pace. And this was a really smart play by Steve. The approach shot played to perfection, and this drop volley, well done.
That's what he's good at.
Good wide serve. And I like how he put that forehand away. He didn't go for too much. Just went for the more conservative, regular forehand down the line shot, I would say. Didn't aim for the lines. And he was ready to come in and pounce on the volley. That's a close serve. And that's what I'm saying. When he can dictate the point and when he takes the point to Shaheen, Shaheen's not the best defensive player. And he still tries to make those shots even when he's on the back foot. And that's going to give Steve a lot of free points. But the moment Shaheen gets into stride and the moment he steps into that baseline, that's when the problems for Steve will really begin. Unforced error, he's not going to be happy with that. You can tell he's admonishing himself. He's not happy. Now this is an interesting one, Shazad. So yesterday, one of the matches, the same thing happened at 3-4 and he got broken and mentally he went downhill.
As in Steve got broken?
Not Steve,
Oh, sorry,
as in Shaheen.
Okay.
And this is an interesting bit. This is where the first set is really going to start playing on everyone's mind. And he's on serve, but he's down 3-4. And from his results, it seems like he's had a little bit of a mental barrier in some of his matches.
Set in this entire tournament so far.
Exactly.
He's had a couple of close sets, but yeah, just disappointing, I think, as far as he's concerned.
That's what he likes. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to stand there, he's going to dictate play. And it all starts from that one serve. He's serving really high percentages on the first serve. think Steve didn't do enough with that. And you can see where he's moving the moment a weight return comes in. And that's what I mean, Shazad, when I tell you he's not the best defensive player. That was a nothing shot. He didn't need to hit that, but he went for the winner. Most other players would have just got it back deep and they would be contented to get the rally on, but he was trying to hit the winner.
Wow, double fault for a man who was serving so well. His first of this match. Tell you what, Steve's done really well here because Shaheen started this game particularly well, and Steve just pulled himself back into it.
And again, it's that inability for Shaheen to play those defensive shots. I mean, that last forehand was in the middle of the net. That wasn't even a defensive shot. He was still trying to go for broke. Oh, unlucky. Good hole by the Iranian though.
Yeah, serve just started to falter in that game.
That's a funny fact. We'll say his first serve percentage is dropping, but it's at 88%.
Absolutely. He had missed a couple of first serves, had a double fault. That's pretty poor for him from his perspective.
At 89% must be poor. It's a good serve by Steve.
And while we're talking about serves, I mean, Steve's not serving particularly good percentages here. Almost 60% really he's serving at first serves. And he's used to far better rates than that.
Definitely. Definitely above the 70s. That's too short by Steve. And you can see where Shaheen is standing. The moment he sees it short, he's going to stand in the baseline and he's going to do that all day to you. Again, that's that strange shot selection, Shazad. I look at Shaheen and all these serves, and he's hitting the ball so close to the tape of the net. There's very little clearance between his strokes and the net, and it's just a little bit of a risky play right there. Oh, he got that.
Oh, he just made it in.
It's just sneaked in on the line.
was part of the serve. Played its part.
And again, the Iranian needed to make the play. Didn't need to hit a winner from that. Just get it back and make Steve make the let Steve make the volley. It's good play by Steve.
So he's held his serve here again, Steve. You know, we were impressed with Harsha Gordamana. We were impressed with Lee Hong Nam. He's obviously a very decent player here, Shaheen. But just Steve has approached as well.
Yep, and I'm just going back to Shaheen. I think you can tell why he's not been performing this Davis Cup. He's got a really good offensive game, so he can go there and he can bolt the ball and he'll push you left to right and he'll create opportunities for himself. His biggest problem is that he does not have a defensive game, and he hates it when he needs to slug it out with you. And you can tell from those few opportunities that he's had, instead of playing a conservative a conservative point,
He
he's
goes
trying
for
to go.
broke, doesn't he?
He goes for break. He goes for broke. And at this level, if your opponent knows that, he's just going to put you under as much pressure as he can, which Steve did really well, and you end up hitting an unforced error.
Yeah, trying to force the winners, isn't he, every time, and that's been his undoing. And I wonder whether Steve Ng has just seen that and will try to take advantage. The pressure shifts back onto Shaheen here on his serve. He hit that really well. Good positive start from Shaheen. But just started to miss out on a few first serves. There was another one. It's 4 or 5 in the last 2 games. Make that 6. Double fault again.
And I think for a player of Shaheen's quality, he needed to back the previous point he played. He played a brilliant forehand, and to back it up with a double fault, I think that shows a little bit of mental frailty. I mean, you've seen when he makes those mistakes, he gets really down on himself, and I think he needs to snap out of it.
Seven first serves now in the last 2 games. Very nicely done. And he was dictating the pace in that one. He counterpunched brilliantly, Steve Ng.
Now if you look at Shaheen's body language here, he was berating the umpire because the umpire said it was a double bounce. And why would you do that? You've already lost the point anyway. Even if you had got it over, Steve had made sure he put it away. Just get on with the point. And this is what we've been noticing when we witness Shaheen play. Look at that. I mean, he's berating the umpire. Why do you need to do that? And he tends to self-destruct a little bit on these important points. That's a good forehand. That's not playable.
That's what we saw earlier. Very nicely done. Now, All important set point here for Steve Ng.
And if you look at the replay of that point and look at Shaheen's body language, zero movement in the legs. He's just trying to swing through it.
Real pressure now on the Iranian. He's done it. First set, Steve Ng against an accomplished player who's perhaps not at his best in this Davis Cup. But it's first set, first blood to Singapore in this second rubber. Steve Ng wins it 6-4.
And again, Shazad, I don't like to always bring up this point, but Shaheen has proven that mentally, he's not quite there. I mean, shots like this, I mean, you don't really need to hit it so close to the net to make the point. And throughout the whole set, you can tell he's in this little bit of this mental wave. He's going up, he's going down, he's serving well. I mean, he served really well, 79%. But that also tells you how well Steve has returned and how much of the game Steve is bringing to Shaheen. Really well done by Singapore. And I think that Iranian really needs to snap himself out of it.
It's yet another set dropped by Shaheen. He's only picked up one so far in this tournament, and that's just not good enough for a man who won a Futures tournament, or was runner-up in the Futures tournament not too long ago. ATP ranked player. This is great stuff from Steve Ng. Sets him up beautifully for the second set. And he's playing with some confidence at the moment. So we enter the second set here. Steve Ng has won the first, 6-4. Shahin KHALEDAN has a lot of work to do because he's had very, very good moments here.
So Shazad, this is going to be really interesting to see. Shaheen has played a terrible second set every time he's lost the first set. Terrible, dismal, I'm going to use that word. He's played really badly in the second set every time he's lost the first set.
And that would indicate a follow-on from what you were saying earlier about how he puts that pressure himself and maybe the bit of mental frailty.
Exactly, absolutely. I think Shaheen's a little bit lost on what to do here. Steve is getting everything back. And to his credit, with a little bit of interest as well. Shaheen looks a little bit sluggish at the back. I mean, he doesn't like those deep shots. And that last shot again, almost no movement on the legs, just swinging at it.
That's another good shot again.
That didn't even go halfway up the net. Really well by Shaheen.
First game, 6.
It's a good start again for Steve Ung. He's continuing that momentum. His service game has started to falter a little bit. Shaheen still serving better in terms of first serves in than Steve Ung, but it's just started to see little chinks in the armor there.
Yeah, and especially the last 2 games, I think that's where he started dropping a lot of first serves. And it's probably related to his body language and his mental state of mind at the moment. Shaheen went for broke for that one. Paid dividends. Again, I can't help but feel that that's not the highest percentage shot he could have gone for. I mean, look at how low this goes across the net from Shaheen on the double and the backhand. Really a risk taker, isn't he? It's good play.
Nicely executed.
And you know, Steve has used that the entire tournament, that he runs around to his forehand and he plays that 3/4 pace down the line forehand. The next shot right here is the one that opens up the court. He does it really well. Wow, that's a good backhand. A little bit of frustration coming out of the racket of Shaheen, you can tell. Even Steve had to applaud that.
That is good. Very good from Steve Ung.
He's returning really well, Steve. On someone who's serving, again, 100% first serves in this game. Oh, unlucky. That's a good idea. That's the right idea, and that's what he should be doing. Couple of loose points by Steve.
He had opportunities there to break.
It was, and I think he knows what his strategy needs to be now. He needs to play a few more points. He needs to drag Shaheen into these long rallies that he obviously doesn't like. Make him go for you just make him go for broke, and if he makes those shots, it's just too good. But the percentages will always be against him.
Well, I think he probably should have put that one away earlier.
A little bit tentative. Fortunate to get away with that. But it was smart play. Really good backhand, this one. Forcing the lob. This one should have done more. Good serving by Steve. Now, him holding serve on this game is going to put all sorts of pressure on Shaheen. Again, that's a really lazy return by Shaheen. He barely even moved.
Doing well here.
Overcooked it.
He had him on the serve. It was a very nice serve. I have to tell you, Steve Young's first serve rate at the moment is only 59%. Should be a lot better. But that's okay. When he does get them in, they're pretty good.
And you can tell from the body language of Shaheen, he's not happy. Previous point, he was stomping the ground, and this one, he was berating himself. You know, these are all signs of a player who's mentally really feeling it this tournament. I think he's a little bit low on confidence. The couple of returns, he's not moved his feet. He's been very, very lazy and very, very sluggish. When he gets there, though, those shots that he hits, outright winners, unplayable. He just needs to focus on he needs to focus on the positives and needs to remove the negatives. I know he's had a difficult tournament, but we've seen what he's capable of. Credit to Steve. Steve has returned really well. This guy has served 100% first serve, Shaheen, and he's returned really well and he's created opportunities for himself.
Yeah, you just get the impression he's putting more pressure on Shaheen's serve than the other way around at the moment. And so every time it comes back to his serve, the pressure's right on. Can he continue that, Steve Young? Can he continue to push Shaheen all the way and get that all-important break in this second set?
That is a desperate shot by Shaheen. And he must be thinking to himself, why did I even do that? Wasn't even close. Oh, it's all coming apart for him now.
You just saw his reaction to that, right? And he dropped his shoulder while looking happy.
Looks a little bit dejected out there now. And again, look at how little he gives himself between the ball and the net.
He was going for that.
It's a good approach shot. Oh dear, that was really well. That's a sign of a player who has mentally switched off.
Two break points here.
Oh, it's smart volley. Smart volley. Played it behind the player. Opportunities for Steve now.
We've still got that one break point.
Oh, he's gonna be unhappy. You know, one thing that if you were to ask me to criticize something about Steve, is that on some of these critical points, he makes these unforced errors, and he makes it really difficult for himself.
Nice try by Shahin, but actually excellent lob from Steve.
And you can tell the Iranian player is wondering how did he even get it over his head. It's brilliant hands by Steve.
Like the improvisation. Real pressure here on Shaheen. Three-one. Stephen goes up. He's looking good. And he'll be relieved as well because that's only the third break point he's managed to convert out of 8.
Well played by Steve. And now, Shazza, I'm going to give you an idea of how well Steve is returning this set. In these 2 games that Shaheen has served, he served 93% first serves. And yet, Steve has broken him. That's how well he's returned. And those are not soft first serves. Those are really hard first serves.
Took the pace right off on that serve. And the irony here is, while you're saying Shaheen is serving, getting such a high rate of first serves in, Steve isn't. Only serving at 62% first serves in.
I actually think this might be one of the worst service games he's had.
But he's only faced 1 break point.
Absolutely.
Incredible. Steve Ung is looking good.
And again, I come back to how Shaheen really finds it hard to bring his best game to the second set when he loses the first set. It seems like mentally he's not ready to fight for it. I mean, he's a double-handed backhander. He led and he hit a single-handed backhander. I don't know what he's thinking, and you can tell from his body language. Very negative. That's just wow.
He's gone, isn't he? He's just not focused.
And Steve knows.
Serving now to make it 4-1. Bad time to be double faulting. His second of the match. Delicately done, Stephen. 4-1 up in the second set.
Excellent play by Singapore. I think Steve is holding on to his nerve well. And that serving has improved tremendously this match. And look at Shaheen's body language. So negative. Now, I don't want to be critical or overly critical of any player. I'm quite sure he's facing his issues on court. And he's had a really bad Davis Cup. But you're an ATP ranked player. You need to be able to hold yourself. And if you're not having the best of matches, you need to be able to dig yourself out of the hole. Right now, he's just telling Steve, come at me, and I'm just going to give it to you.
I got to say, I'm not detecting much hunger in him at the moment for someone who's, and we keep using this phrase, an accomplished player. And it's kind of symptomatic of his entire Davis Cup this year. The lack of fight is a little bit disappointing. He's got to dig really, really deep here. And again, we have talked about this in the past. Steve Ung was around this point against Garib. He was 5-1 up, so slightly better than this. And the fight back started. Now, I just wonder whether that's in his mind, somewhere in his mind, that he needs just to be wary of that. But I don't think Shaheen is in the same category as a Garib, who was unflappable, who did not show any negative signs outwardly. We were so impressed with that.
And I think Daniel, the captain of the Singapore team, would have told Steve to just play it as though it's the first point of the match. I think that's what he would have done, and to stay positive. It's brave second serve, really brave second serve.
That is exactly what we talk about. He doesn't need to go for a winner there.
Again, it's all about the shot selection. I mean, you get good serve, it's a really good approach shot. Play the point. Why do you need to win the point from there? Just play the point.
Excellent from Stephen. Brilliant passing shot. And this all stems from that last point.
Absolutely, and
he's put himself in a position of pressure now.
Exactly, and because Steve knows he needs to play that one more shot, and Shaheen's under all sorts of pressure.
I also got to say that return of serve was excellent.
That return of serve was excellent. Take nothing away from Singaporean. That's much better from Shahin though. At least he played the point. Wasn't going for the outright winner. Putting pressure on Steve. A lot better. Great first serve.
Again, credit to Shaheen for improvising well, but Steve Ng was at the net to finish off.
That was a really good touch by Steve. Really entertaining stuff to see when they do the tweeners. But again, you know, Shazad, it's that shot selection again. He didn't need to drop shot. Now that was the chance for him to put the ball away. Much better by Shaheen.
Important for Shaheen to win that, stay in this. But every service game now, he's being pushed.
Interesting stat. So this set, he served 82% for serves. Again, that's a really effective serve, but he's only won 50% of those points. So it kind of tells you how well Steve has been returning this entire match. And I think Steve has really put out a masterclass in this one. I think he's really pushing Shaheen around, and he's making him think twice. And he's really forcing the issue. That's what I was talking about, Shazad. You know, he suddenly puts himself in that position. Those little unforced errors. You get a little bit guilty of what Shahin is doing. Didn't need to overcook it that much. Took a little look at the referee, at the umpire, and walked away. I think it's a good reaction by Steve. Actually, I know some players who have gotten really upset. I think he's dealt with it really well. Replay. Great serve.
That's a good way to come back.
And you know, when you're so confident of your serve at this point in time, and you're so confident of your abilities this match, these little things don't get to your head anymore. There's that unforced error I was talking about. A little bit of tightness at these crucial points. You see his shoulders don't really open up anymore. And I think that's something that he'll need to work on with his coaches after the Davis Cup, to stay relaxed during these crucial points.
Quite a few unforced errors from both.
That's all footwork, or the lack of it, from Shaheen actually. Didn't even move, he just lunged at it.
This to serve for 5-2. Oh, the chance.
Yeah.
Not taken. Steve Young was vulnerable there.
Yeah, I can't help but think how Shaheen must be thinking, what do I need to do to win the point from Steve right now? He's running for everything, and some of these returns from Steve going so deep. Now this was a simple put away. You know, and you know why that happens? Because he's worried that Steve is going to get that as well, and so he tries to overplay it. Well done, Singapore. This little tightness I'm talking about, I don't know if you see it, but his shoulders aren't really opening up on the back end when he gets tight. And so it comes off his frame, or he hits it late. Tense moments now for both players. I think Steve won't be happy that he missed it a couple of those volleys. That's a good pickup volley. This one, I think he took a little bit late. easy passing shot by Shahin. The ball boy took that like a champion.
That was important, really important for Shaheen to try and stay in this. Only the second time that Steve Ung has been broken in this match.
You know, I think we see a bit of similarity between both players. I mean, Shaheen's been a bit of a mental downhill journey. And then you see you see Steve, who's had an opportunity to really close it out at 5-2. Or to go 5-2 up in the second set. And get really tight on those important points. You can see his shoulders not moving, his legs are not moving. He's starting to think a little bit ahead of himself. Daniel, and that's exactly what I think he's telling him now. Just take it one point at a time. Don't think about it. Stay relaxed and hit. Give your opponent something to think about.
Well, what we do know, typically, when Shaheen serves, he's put under tremendous pressure by Steve Ung, so he'll need to sustain that. For his part, Shaheen will think, wow, I can now turn this around. This is an important game here.
And the difference between what's happening now and what's happening before is that Shaheen's very willing to play the point. And he's not going for broke. And he's now making Steve play the point as well. And you can see he's starting to move a lot better, starting to go for a lot higher percentage shots. I think that's the big difference. He's trying to cut out his unforced errors. His coach must have told him, or he must have figured it out. And this is going to be really interesting to watch.
Nicely done. Quite often those don't go Shaheen's way. So I'll be happy this time it did.
That's the one. The patience to play the shot, and that deep forehand caused the damage. A little bit lucky on this volley. He wasn't really in position. He stretched for it. Quite lucky to pull it off.
First serves in a dip below 80%. Went for a shot there.
40.
Brought it to deuce again. And once again, Steve Young has put pressure on this serve. Remember, while the rate of his first serves is relatively high, the points won is under 50% on first serve. Excellent work. And that gives him the all-important break point.
I think Shaheen popped a string in the middle of that point. That one right there. Did well to still keep the ball in play. I'll take nothing away from this man here. He has returned amazing this match. Shaheen has only won 48% of his first serves and he served 72%. So this has been some amazing returning by Steve. All the pressure he must be under. Almost willing Shaheen to serve harder and harder. Oh, overcooked it again.
Opportunity not taken by Steve Young.
Little sign of resurgence from Shaheen. The fist bump coming up. It's 4-all now. I think Steve is annoyed at himself. He knows he should have done a lot better than that. Interesting how this is going to turn now. I just think that this has affected Steve a little bit more, and Shaheen has somehow managed to dig a little bit deeper. I mean, I guess that's why he's the player he is. That's
right?
experience for you.
Yeah. Playing that back in his mind.
It's a lot more positive now if you look at Shaheen's body language. Previously, he would really get down on himself, but now you can tell he's a little bit more positive.
Wow, great rally and real credit to Shaheen for his part in all of that.
such a big point. Two massive overhits under so much pressure. Can you imagine what must be going through his mind before he hits that overhit? This one here, not an easy one. Did well with this approach shot. And this is the big pressure one. Did really well to put it behind Shaheen. Well played, Singapore. So the difference is that now Steve can't seem to string those points together. One good point and then one disappointing
Where
point.
he was able to have a consistent run earlier.
But credit to Shaheen though. Shaheen is really starting to sink into these rallies and he's going for a bit more percentage now. I think that's a really smart move by the Iranian.
And Steve is in a bit of trouble here. He's facing a break point again. 2 games in a row.
That was not a good shot selection by Shaheen. That was not the time he wanted to go for broke. I mean, if you sense that your opponent is a little bit down on himself, you might want to play that point first. I think Shaheen needs to be a little bit careful here. He needs to play that point a little bit more. I think Steve is trying to will him to hit those winners, and he's really going for it.
Not helping himself at the moment, Steve-O.
He had a really good idea of what he was trying to do there. He was trying to slow down the pace and possibly give Shaheen something to think about. But that last forehand, again, his feet were not really moving. A little bit of tightness in those shoulders as well. Oh dear.
Put himself under pressure.
First sign of a little bit of negativity I've seen from Steve this match. Sign of pressure that's building.
Wow, it's not looking good. Steve's been broken twice in a row now.
You know, Shazad, I hope I didn't jinx it, but I mentioned this before that Steve seems to have this problem with closing out matches and closing out important points. He seems to get really tight, and it starts to play in his mind a little bit, and he starts making these very uncharacteristic, unforced errors. And now I'm just wondering what Daniel's gonna tell him to get over this.
Yeah, the tide seems to have turned a little bit. Seems to have changed in favour of his opponent, Shaheen, who was there for the taking, who was not looking very positive. And now you just see Jensen now even coming over as well to have a few words.
And safe to say, Shaheen hasn't done anything spectacular. It's all been Steve's undoing, and I think he needs to really step up and he needs to refocus himself and tell himself, even if this goes to a third set, he needs to tell himself, let's just reset and start from zero again.
Mental fortitude. That's what it's all about now. Shaheen coming out to serve out for the second set. Steve Young has to draw upon what he was able to do earlier, and that was to put real pressure on Shaheen's serve.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats quickly. Please are ready. Any seats for now? Thank you. Any seats for now? Thank you.
Much better. On that return, you can tell the shoulders opening up. Very light-footed. That's a lot better. That's what Steve needs to remind himself constantly. Don't get tight. Shaheen doesn't like those, doesn't he? He doesn't like it when you get when you return his shots like that. And he starts to go for more and more and more. Very good footwork, look at that. Really nice. And he knew exactly where he was going even before he hit it. Well done, Steve.
Well, he has done so well here. That's the easiest break of serve he's had. 4 straight points.
It's really good to watch. Good to see that he settled back down. Taking it to Shaheen, and credit to Shaheen. I think Shaheen was trying something different. He was trying to play more of the shots. But I think in that particular game, Steve outplayed him. Good way to start. Great first serve by Steve. Slide out wide. Again, the shot selection by Shaheen. You didn't need to do that. Play the point. And even if Steve hits the winner, he had to hit that one more shot. You don't need to hit a winner from there.
6 points in a row. He has reeled off Steve Young. Got a good rhythm now. He is on a roll.
And that is a masterclass touch by Steve. That drop shot by Shaheen, not well executed at all. Again, some of his shot selection today has been quite questionable. I mean, This one, the entire court was open. And that's not even a good drop shot.
Can he close out now? Make this 6-5. He's done well. That's 8 points in a row. Won the last 2 games without conceding anything.
It's such an emotional roller coaster for both players. They both don't seem to want it enough. One moment, Shaheen's back in the game, and then he gives it away. And then Steve can't seem to clinch it.
Tell you what,
So,
Steve did so well because he looked down and out, didn't he, really?
absolutely. I mean, the last change, I was a little bit worried that the nerves would get better of him. But I think he's come out and he's played a really good 2 games. I mean, part of it was really Shaheen's own undoing. He didn't play a good 2 games after fighting so hard to come back. But credit to Steve, I think he's dug deep.
I want to know what Jensen said to him.
Have you heard the commentary on the live stream?
Come on, show them up. No, I think it's been very good from Steve in all seriousness, and he's got a real chance here of closing out. Remember, he's put pressure on that Shaheen serve every time.
Shaheen has not... I'm not saying he's not served well, but he's not done enough with his service game. 50% of first serve points won. That shows you how well Steve has been reading and returning those serves today. Now let's just hope that his nerves don't get the better of him and that he can close it out.
Tight call.
So close.
He questioned that, didn't he?
Darren's Hawkeye in action again today. Oh, I think just clipped the line.
Yeah, I think it was just in.
Good play by Shaheen.
He's advancing a lot more now.
Yes, he is, and he's creating these opportunities for himself. And again, he's going for that smart shot, and he's not going for too close to the top of the net. A bit more percentage, and that's what he needs to do, and that's what he should have done from the first point. Oh dear.
Well, as soon as you say that, he goes back to type. Unnecessary. Couple of points away, Steve Young, if he can finish this off.
That's a good play by Shaheen. Again, didn't go for too much. Put pressure on Steve, forcing him to hit the passing shot. Came away with the point. 30 all.
That sets up the first match point.
Good play by Steve. Keeping it nice and deep. Attacking the double-hander backhand.
And not only is that a match point, also a chance to win the entire tie. Well, I think the point that was being made there by Shaheen is that was out earlier. Prior to that one.
And the Iranian coach starting to berate the linesman. I'm not so sure if that's the best strategy. It's just distracting to all players, and especially if it's to his own player.
He has a point, but still, you're right. Better way of doing
Good
this.
serve. And I think the umpire is trying to calm him down. And that's why you shouldn't need to do that, because you're penalizing your own player for your own actions. As a captain, you should know better than that.
Important, very important. That serve. So, we go to a tie break now.
Tense moments. Oh, not the right time to have a double fault.
What a time for a double fault.
And again, I can't help but think that Steve might be just feeling the pressure of the moment again.
Going in favor of Shaheen at the moment.
And you can tell that Shaheen's starting to feel a little bit more in the match. Fist pump, positive body language. How quickly things change in tennis.
Great point there from Shaheen, who's building up a fairly sizable lead here.
That was a really good point by Shaheen. The hitting on some of these shots. Really, really authoritative. This approach shot. And he knew what he wanted to do to the body. Really good hands right there. Well done.
Oh, he's double faulting twice. Twice now in the tiebreak.
It's the same tightness I'm talking about, Shazad. Those critical points, those are the ones that make a difference, and you can tell he's getting a little bit tight even on the serve. He's not really opening up. His legs are not really moving. Love 4. That's much better.
Yeah, he needed that. But he needs a run of points now. So 4 double faults, by the way, in this match, which is, I think, more than all the others put together.
Not serving his best today. Shaheen's up 2 mini breaks. I must say though, Shaheen's really changed his game plan here. Playing a lot more of the ball. He still makes that odd shot selection sometimes, but his unforced error count has dropped a lot.
Picked a good time to start doing all this.
Absolutely, I
Left
think
it a little bit
he's
late.
done well.
Oh, it's catching, isn't it? Double faultitis.
Still 2 mini breaks. Now if Steve can win these 2 points, they have a very different complexion on Shaheen's serve again. Shaheen just needs 1 point from this. That's a great serve.
That's job done. That's the kind of serve he needs. Oh, excellent shot. Excellent shot from Shaheen.
Dug that out of nowhere. That's a brilliant passing shot by Shaheen. So much more positive now.
Set point. 3 set points here for Shaheen.
What a shot.
Excellent. Again, that backhand. He has come to the fore, and we are 1-1.
And this was the kind of form that saw him become a run-up in the Georgia F2 Futures. This kind of hitting and this backhand here, this is phenomenal. This is really good hitting there. It's unplayable.
So, it's 1 set apiece. Steve Ung won the first set 6-4. Shahin KHALEDAN won it on the tie breaks 7-6. And it sets us up now for that third set. It's all very evenly poised. By the way, this is the first time he's won the second set in any of his rubbers.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and I think it showed that he does have the capacity to dig deep, but I can't help but think that part of that is really because Steve couldn't close it out, and that's something that Daniel needs to speak to Steve about after all of this, after the Davis Cup, something for him to work with his coaches, closing out all these important points. We saw that in so many of his matches, the inability to close out these points, and you know, when you're playing against opponents like Shaheen, if you're playing opponents like Lee Hong Nam, these guys are going to capitalize on that.
Let's cast our mind back to that second set. He was 4-1 up, and we said, is that the back of his mind what happened with him and Garib?
That's right. And I'm not sure if the same thing happened, but we saw the same symptoms: tightening up, shoulders not opening, legs not moving. Shots coming off the frame are usually an incident of your legs not moving, and you're not getting there in time to hit the shot. You know, when he's playing free-flowing tennis, to be honest, Shazad, when he's playing his free-flowing tennis, I actually think he can take the game to any of these players. It's just these little points here and there.
Before the start of the match. Thank you.
Third set about to start here at centre court with Singapore and Iran sharing a set each. And Shahin KHALEDAN won that second set on a tiebreak, won it 7-3. But lots of errors were creeping into Steve Ung's game, not least his serving.
And it'll be interesting to see which Shaheen turns up now. He's obviously on a confidence high. And for someone with his playing style, if his confidence is really high, he's going to be hitting winners all over the court. So this set is going to be really interesting.
Confidence is coursing through Shaheen's veins at the moment. Can see much more now than it was earlier in the match.
Good play by Steve, good counter punching. one thing I can't help notice, but Shaheen has this more relaxed demeanor out there now. And this will suit his game because he's going out and he's starting to deliver on those shots.
Yeah, Steve trying to force the issue there. And he's looking back at some of the line calls. Shahin.
Let's look at the difference. I mean, he's not getting rattled by the line call. I mean, he went there, he complained a little bit, and he was like, you know what, never mind, let's just get on with this. It's a sign of a player who's really, really gaining his confidence back.
That fell for him. That really did. He needed that.
And I think Steve really needs this game. He really needs this one. He needs it a lot more than Shahin. I'm not saying it because it's a matter of fact, but I think it'll do his confidence a world of good.
That was the break point he didn't get yet. He does put that Shaheen serve under pressure every time. Important one there for Steve Ng to break Shaheen at the start of this third set.
I think what's important is that Steve broke serve and he wasn't particularly playing well. I mean, that's not his best game. And I think that's important because to know that you can break your opponent's serve when you're not having your best game, it's a big advantage. And again, Shaheen, he knows he shouldn't have gone for that shot. He should have gone for the cross court, the more natural angle. And he's questioning his own choice of shot. Wasn't the best.
So the pressure on Shaheen here, losing his first service game in the third set.
Shaheen's annoyed. Honestly, you don't need to play the return so close to the line. Really good hitting there by the Iranian. I think he has a right to be annoyed. I mean, some of those returns quite tame and he's not making them.
A good start here for Steve Ung in the third set. He goes 2-love up. It's amazing how the momentum is just shifting one end to the other.
I mean, Shazza, if you ask me, we need to keep our eyes on this match when, you know, if Steve goes into commanding lead again and see whether he's able to convert those points and close out the match.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Remember, he was 4-1 up in that second set. He just wants to put this to bed. Again, unforced. Wasn't a good position there.
Again, the shot selection from Shaheen. I'm not sure if this late in the match how much all this heavy hitting has taken a toll on his body, but he looks like a big strong lad, so
I just wonder whether he's pointing up somewhere into the lights. He almost seemed to indicate there was a glare problem.
yeah, so some of the players have mentioned that when the ball gets thrown up as a lob, there's a lot of fixtures that they're looking at. But you know, in tennis, this is what happens when you play indoor, and every player has to face that issue.
Yeah, it's the same for everyone. You're right. I think Steve kind of left him off the hook there.
No, both players had really strange shot selection. Steve could have come in,
Yeah.
and Shaheen played the most awkward of backhands. That was again very unnecessary. This is really an emotional roller coaster for both of them.
2 break points for Steve Ung. He seemed tentative. He seemed to almost pull out of that. And Steve Ung doing brilliantly in the moment. 3-love up.
You know the difference is between this set and the previous set is that Steve is not playing particularly well at all, and he's 3-love up. And really, I mean, he looks very subdued, and he doesn't look like he's the most comfortable on court at the moment, to be honest. And yet he finds himself 3-love up. Now, if he's able to discover the form he had in the second set, then this should be a relatively fast third set.
We do know, though, that Shaheen has managed to drag himself back from difficult positions already in this match. So there's no reason why he can't do that again.
We would like to invite all
Steve Ung, though,
participants to take their seats.
needs to just try and close this out.
Shortly, as the next set one will begin.
He's done really well on his serve so far. Win this, it's 4-love.
That's too good. That's the kind of shot that Shaheen has been producing. Some of the shots that he's hit today, unreturnable. This one's not playable. And that one's not playable too. From a very different perspective. Great serve by Steve. I don't think Shahin necessarily agrees with that.
What does Darren's Hawkeye say?
As well, and clip the line.
Done well here, Steve Ng. 4-love up. But we know that doesn't necessarily mean anything just yet.
You know, I'm just shaking my head, and Shazad's probably asking me why. And again, some of these shots that Shahin is choosing to hit, it's very unnecessary. You're 40-15 down. I mean, the server's 40-15 up, and you need to play the point, and you go for an
Right.
outright winner.
You're going for a winner off the serve. Nice deep backhand played. Not win that point. He's really got to win this match, this game, hasn't he? Otherwise, it could be all over.
And again, I can't help but notice a little bit of tightness again in those wings. Not moving his feet as well as before again. Nice piece of skill there by the Iranian. And we all know they've got a very good football team. You know, a song comes to mind, Shazad. Will the real Shaheen please stand up?
Difficult to know who the real Shaheen is.
When he steps up to the line, I don't know which one's going to show up for that point.
And he's on the verge of perhaps taking his first game.
It'll be very familiar ground at 4-1. Steve serve.
Excellent serve. 4-1 now. And if Steve Ng is broken, like he was.
And in most circumstances, I'd still be putting this in Singapore's favour. But Steve really needs to stay focused. He really needs to play his game. In that last few points, those 3 unforced errors on his forehand, again, it showed tentativeness, a lot of tightness in the shot.
He's got to close us out now. Surely he's got to. Important not just for this match, of course, but for the tie, because Singapore would win it.
And I think it'd be extremely important for Steve in his development as a player to be able to close these matches out. It's the tight ones. It's the tight ones that progress you through your career. And I can only imagine the amount of confidence he'll get knowing that he can go into a tight match and finish it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please quickly make your way to your seats, please. Players are ready. Any seats for now? Any seats for now? Thank you.
We're just waiting for the last few spectators to take their seats. Oh, and he snapped another string.
Yeah, you could hear that.
But I think Steve did well. I mean, sometimes that distracts the opposing player as well. And because it would force, in this case, Shaheen to play a very different kind of shot. I think Steve did well to hold his concentration.
Tight call, but it's out.
Really close. Didn't need my Hawkeye for that. Oh, yeah, Shazad, that's just not acceptable. The linesman called it even before it bounced. If you look at the replay,
Tell you what, Steve did really well early in that point. And I thought he'd set himself back.
and he covered so much ground. I mean, he was doing all the running in this point. Look at that. Shaheen's just setting himself and hitting everything. This one just a little bit overcooked it. Good idea. It's a good point by both players.
Remember, he just wants to close out his service game. That's all he needs to do here. Going for a winner, perhaps?
I hope he was. Again,
Did he need to?
why is that necessary? I mean, play the point. I'm quite sure by now you know that your opponent's under a fair amount of pressure as well. Just play the point. Ooh, that was close.
Both close.
Steve didn't question it. Oh, that's right inside the line. Really good return by Shaheen. Oh, he had his
dear.
opportunities.
It's brought it to deuce.
He thought about it, hit the approach shot, and started backtracking.
Here we go. This is the first time his serve is under threat.
Again at 4-1.
At 4-1. Went for it. And it gives Steve the advantage.
Oh, that's a tight second serve. Tight second serve.
Again with the double faults. It's 5th of this match. At an all-important time of this match. Did it in the tie breaks twice as well, if you remember. That's out. Again, just looking. He's looking. He's saying that was clearly out.
That was clear. That was clearly out. There was nothing to question. It's not even close.
That's about the most blatant line call that we've seen so far. Not even a debate.
Oh dear.
He's had 2 double faults in a row when he had the opportunity to close out the game. Incredible.
I mean, I can safely say that this is all nerves now, Shazad. It's really all nerves.
Amazing. Just haven't seen this from him before this match. And credit to the crowd trying to just G him up a bit. An almighty roar. That's right. That's how they want to show their support. That's good from the crowd.
That's
Can
a
he just
really
serve
good
now?
first serve.
He needed that. He really did. Finally, he does it. 5-1, Stephen.
Now I can tell you, it's a really important game for Steve. I mean, in the previous set he was 4-1 up. He got broken. Shaheen held his serve, and the whole complexion of the set changed. I mean, even though it went to tiebreak, you could tell that Shaheen was in the ascendancy. Now at 1-5, it's a very different game now.
Oh, brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant from Shaheen.
Again, will the real Shaheen please stand up?
Just so inconsistent. Where is this most of the time?
It's a magical touch, this one. It's almost like Federer. And that's what's been plaguing Shaheen the whole day. Moments of brilliance, and then moments of absence of mind. I mean, the shot selection sometimes has been really, really poor.
Stephen, just 2 points away from finishing this off. He has been in the 5-1s before, remember. And he has not closed out. Shaheen, it's now or never, really. Excellent from Steve Ung. And he gives himself 2 match points.
Again, Shaheen could have done a lot more with this forehand. He placed it down the middle, and Steve has been covering a lot of ground today. I'm not going to take that away from him.
picked his spot, did it really well. But I just panic for him sometimes.
Let it rip. Really brave forehand on match point.
I guess you could say he has no fear, this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the style of play.
That saves another match point. I think that's 3 now. 1 from the previous set, 2 here.
Too good.
This is what's been missing. We haven't seen enough of this from Shaheen today.
If you look at the replay, you look at this one forehand that Steve hit. This one right here. He took the pace of it. And I don't know whether he was being a bit tentative or he was trying to go for a much deeper shot, but that was the one that set him up for the fall. And so Shaheen has saved 2 match points.
Stay of execution for now from Shahin KHALEDAN. It's up to Steve Ung to win on his service game next. But I just wonder whether the old fears are coming back into his mind.
I can't help but wonder that, and I hope we're not jinxing it. But there's not much pressure on Steve, to be honest, at this point. I mean, at 5-1 up, it's only natural that Shaheen should hold serve. I mean, the server should naturally hold serve. So he still has his opportunities. I mean, it's his serve next. He served well this set, to be honest, Steve. This is the best set he served the whole match. I mean, it's close to 70%. And I think, again, Daniel needs to tell him, you just need to calm down and see it through.
Now, he's served very well in this third set. Has not even had any chance to be broken. But it's all important now for Steve Ung to see this through and give his country the tie as well.
I must say, Shaheen is a really brave individual to hit that shot when you're 2-5 down. Takes a fair amount of guts, and it looks like he meant it. He looks like he knew what he was going for. Seems to play a lot better under pressure for some reason.
Well,
Great
Steve
serve.
also delivering here. That's his third ace of the match.
Right off the line. Outside of the line, actually. I can't tell you by how many millimeters.
Getting close. A couple of those shots just look really off.
I think he needs to shake it off a little bit. That's what he's doing. Someone's telling him what I'm saying. Oh, wow, that's a really good shot by
Playing
Shaheen.
so well now, Shahin. And lo and behold, the first time in this match, in this set, he's had a break points.
It's a really glorious backhand.
He's giving it a good fight, Shahin.
Straight serve. He needed that.
But very important serve there for Steve Ng. It's a nice rally, and would you believe it? Shaheen has broken Steve Ng.
And you can tell, I mean, Shaheen came out all guns blazing. Some of these shots, like he meant it. You would think he's 5-2 up. Really smart play, opened up the court. If you ask me, I think he deserved it. I don't think Steve could do much wrong in that game. I think Shaheen came out and he played with authority. I think he wanted it.
Oh wow, this is just taking another twist and turn, isn't it? Important for him to put that away.
All a bit of fun now. I tell you, even these smashes, the first one and this one's a high pressure smash. It's not easy. But you can tell, look at his legs moving so much better now. He got confused with a second serve. Well, the pattern's emerging. You can tell Shaheen's not making many of those unforced errors anymore. I think he's kind of realized that Steve is not going to do much with it. And so he's going to craft his point, and you can tell that's what he did.
This is looking ominous, I have to say, as far as Steve Ng is concerned. Well, that is probably the easiest service game he's had in a long time, Shaheen.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you looked at the last point, Shaheen played some really different shots he's never played the whole match. Very soft serve. He was playing that forehand approach shot with a lot more caution than before. And that smash he just went for direction. I think he's really starting to realize that Steve is feeding off his pace. And when he gives Steve that pace, and when that pace comes back with interest, because Steve counter punches really well, he doesn't really like it. So he's starting to make Steve think a bit more. And he's telling Steve, you know what, if you want to win this match, you got to come out and you got to get it. I'm not going to give it to you anymore. Really smart play by the Iranian.
Steve, this is his final chance that he can control things on his serve. Well, actually, if it goes 5-all, then of course you can still serve one more time. But he wants to close this out. He has to close this out now.
I think he has to. I mean, I cannot imagine him if he came leading 5-1 and not closing it out on his serve. I mean, that impacts even the biggest of players in the world. I mean, that will have long-standing effects on the player.
There is a medical timeout right now. Can't see anyone getting any treatment per se. Ah, there we go.
I can tell you it's not me.
It's Steve now. This is going to be a little bit of a concern, perhaps. Was it his knee he was looking at?
Might have injured something when he scrambled for one of those points. Looks like a bit of a hamstring injury. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for it. Could be a neck injury for all I know. Yeah, looks like a bit of a hamstring. And you know, this is the brutal nature of tennis. I mean, these guys have played long matches, 4 days in a row. Steve has played 3-set matches. And he's played against some of the best players in the tournament. And then he's having to repeat to play the double. So all of this takes a toll on your body. I mean, there's only so much we can take before something gives.
Yeah, what a time. And just impresses upon you even more the importance for him to have tried to wrap this up earlier. And the fact that he hasn't been able to, the pressure's on him. He's now got a potential injury problem. There's adding to the stressful situation that he's facing.
We will advise all spectators to remain seated in the meantime. Thank you.
I think it's fair to say that Steve Ng will not be playing in the doubles regardless.
I would think so. I mean, you wouldn't want to aggravate an injury. Hamstring injuries can get really serious if it's an hamstring. Again, I'm just assuming I'm right.
We have, of course, Jensen Hui and Roy Hobbs. He's been through a very grueling 3-setter, whatever happens in this game. Of course, if it ends as 1-all and Iran do win this through through Shaheen, then ideally they would want to have Shahid Alam and Steve Ng playing together.
That's right. But in the condition he is, I mean, even if he comes through with this, regardless what the situation is, I don't think they will want to risk aggravating the injury.
Then the question would be, do they retain Shahid and pick one of the other two, or will they go with that pair of Jensen and Roy?
I don't know. I heard that they might call me. I'm not sure. I'm just kidding. No, I think I'm not sure what it's gonna be. I mean, but I know that if Steve is out, they'll probably call Jensen. That's what I think. Again, you know, I'm not the captain or the coach, so don't quote me.
One minute left. If I'm Shaheen, I'll be seeing all this, and I'm going to try and make him move around a lot now.
I'll just try not to hit those winners from 5 feet behind the baseline. That's the first thing I won't try to do. But you can tell that Shaheen's changed his game. He's made him play a few more shots. If you look at the replay, he's really changed the way he's played. This is a real test for the Singaporean now.
Can he pull through that serve as well?
How deep can he dig? Hold on. 5-4 up. You know, Shazad, if you know that you're carrying an injury and you're 5-4 up, I would rather Steve go out and get it. Don't hang back in those rallies anymore. It's not going to do you any favors. And Shaheen is not
Agreed.
going to make those mistakes anymore.
Agreed. Kill it off as fast as you can.
Exactly, take some chances. And it's quite obvious what Shaheen's doing. He's just going to move in from left to right. Again, go out there, take your chances. You're 5-4 up. You're not 4-5 down.
Shahin's doing exactly what's required. Took the pace right off there.
And I can't help but think that Shaheen affected himself. I mean, that serve was clearly out. And he's just having a go at the umpire. I think it's just very unnecessary. Focus on your game.
You're not going to be able to influence it in any way.
Not anyway, it's been called.
Sometimes you just need that little bit of luck.
But, you know, the Iranian player had his chances to come in. This was a good shot. This one even better. And then look at this. He had his chance. He was going to come in and he stopped.
2 points away from taking the match again, Steve Ung. Important for Steve Ung. And that sets him up for match point.
And that's exactly what I wanted to see, Shazad. Go out there and take the chance.
Oh dear. Another match point not taken. It's on Deuce again. That's the 8th match point, I believe. That gives him another chance for match point.
Again, that's exactly what Steve needs to do. He needs to go in and take his chances. He should not be standing back there and prolonging these rallies anymore. Put all that pressure on Shaheen. Make him hit the winner. And if he does, that's just too good. Well done, Steve.
Once again, opportunity to wrap this up. too long, that rally.
37 shots. I wonder how much that's going to take out of Steve. And that's what he doesn't want to get sucked into. You can tell Shaheen's content.
Wouldn't you believe it? That's one of the longest rallies we've had. Probably the longest we've had in the entire match. I just feel that he's not hitting through anymore either. I don't know.
It's a little bit tentative. I mean, I can understand the nerves.
But it might also be injury related.
Exactly. It's just...
Again that luck. And again a match point. I think this is his 10th one now.
And even fate wants him to finish this. So
Can he see it
unlucky,
through?
Shahin.
The crowd will let their feelings be known if he can close this out. Nicely done. Very nicely done by Shaheen. The 9 lives of Shahin KHALEDAN. He has dug himself out time and time again.
I think he's got more than 9 now. That's 10 match points
10.
saved. You got to give this man a lot of credit. He's playing very brave tennis.
He's got that in. I thought that was going to go out anyway, but he didn't take his chance.
I tell you, Shazad, that's not an easy smash under the circumstances. First of all, really well done to come in and create his chance. Good volley right in front of him, and this smash is top draw right there. Well done.
Here we go, number 11. That's a superb shot. Sheer power, that one.
But I appreciate that effort by Steve. I mean, to go to serve and volley. It's a really good return by Shaheen. Well done.
Sure, he does not want to be diving in his current condition either. Stephen. Yeah, just a wince there you saw. Boy, this is riveting stuff here.
11 match point saved.
Oh, he hasn't taken that. And for the first time, it's now turned into a break point. The pressure has shifted. You ask for him to advance to the net. He's doing that more and more.
It's the right thing to do. I don't think he should get too down on himself. I mean, it's better than playing passively. You are 5-4 up, so you need to close it out with a little bit of an injury. Oh dear.
Oh dear. That is disappointing as far as Steve Ng is concerned.
And he knows should have done better on that last forehand.
And Shaheen might just feel things are back in his favor now.
11 match points saved. What a match we're having. It's a really smart serve by Shaheen right
You
there.
can't help but think now, with the fatigue, the pressure on him, perhaps an injury, that was his chance. That was his moment.
That was his moment. I mean, he had his match points. He couldn't convert. Credit to the Iranian player though. He played some amazing shots when he needed to. Good hitting by the Singaporean. I don't think Shaheen was expecting that to generate his own pace. This backhand here. Well played. And that's that tightness I was talking about again. You can tell his shoulder droops. It doesn't quite open up when he hits the ball. It just sails long. Then again, it's really easy for us to say. I mean, these guys have played 2 hours 40 minutes. Really high intense tennis. I mean, Steve has covered so much ground. Shaheen has generated so much pace off these shots. Not easy.
Unforced errors creeping in again for Steve Ng, and he's in trouble here. The pressure will shift back onto him.
And so my question is, where was this Shaheen throughout the entire Davis Cup?
Absolutely. Where's his fight? Oh, it's an unfortunate slip, but he picks himself up immediately. And he's looking very good at the moment, Shaheen. He's got Steve running everywhere, hasn't he?
Shaheen has won 5 games in a row. You got to give him credit. I mean, he's had to dig really deep to make this happen. And, you know, we might say that Steve has gotten a little bit tight or a little bit nervous, and that hits everyone. But you still, as the opposing player who's 5-1 down in the third set, you still had to play your tennis and you still had to dig deep. And really on match point, some of those returns that he hit, phenomenal.
I'm afraid it's the same old story for Steve Ng. He's been in 2 matches where he's been 5-1 up and he's blown them. Let's still give him credit. He may still come and turn this one around. But when you're on those kind of positions, he was 4-1 up in the second set. And Darren, that's frustrating for him.
It is frustrating for him. I think after all of this, I think his coaches will have something to work on him with. I think we know what it's definitely not a technical problem, right? But let's take nothing away from Steve. He's covered a lot of ground today. He's been chasing every single ball down, and regardless of the result, I think he should still be really proud of how he's performed.
Pressure on Steve Ng here to hold his serve. Two excellent serves. Tight, look tight. I'm very quiet on me, Darren.
Very close.
Couple of points away here. Shaheen.
Those margins by inches.
Steve, can he bring one of his aces here? And his very first match point, Shahin KHALEDAN. Oh, important for Stephen.
Oh, that was a strange one. I don't know. I mean, Shaheen had his chance on that forehand and he almost bunted it back. He didn't.
When the previous Shaheen would have just gone for it.
Exactly. I thought he would have gone for it. A match point. I thought he would have gone for the big forehand inside out, but he decided to go for the safe shot instead, and that allowed Steve to come back into the rally.
Well, that's given Steve an all-important chance here to tie things up at 6-all. We are on our way to a tiebreak. You cannot take your eyes off this match. 6-all.
And again, you know, you got to give credit to both players. I mean, Steve didn't play his best game again. First 2 points, brilliant, and after they kind of faded off. But somehow managed to hang in there. And Shaheen had a bit of a mixed game as well. I mean, he had a chance to put it away on that forehand, but I think he felt the nerves and he just put it back, and here we are at 6-all. Intriguing stuff.
That certainly looks out.
A mini break for Steve here. Wow, this is a really good game of tennis, Shazad, I'll tell you that.
There's no doubt about that one. Hasn't got a first serve in for a while, by the way.
Went for a little bit too much, the Singaporean. But real credit to this guy. I mean, he's changed he's changed up his game, and his experience is showing. He's starting to play more of these rallies now, lesser of those unforced errors, making Steve think a little bit more, I think. Now, if only he had done this earlier, he wouldn't be in such a difficult situation. The first serve percentage starting to drop a little, 67% now. Oh, I think it's a bit of cramp actually. It's not an injury, Shazad. I saw him limping off. Looks like a bit of cramp rather than a hamstring injury.
He's wincing again, by the way. There we go. Something's not quite right. Some of the shots he's playing there, I'm not sure he's fully fit.
I think he let Shaheen off the hook there. I mean, Shaheen tried something really cute. I mean, he started playing these really high topspin shots. And Steve had his opportunity. This drop shot was not well executed at all.
Feel the momentum is all the way now with Shahin KHALEDAN.
Shahin now up 2 mini breaks.
Glimmer of hope here for Steve Ng.
He's really starting to force the issue now, Steve. I think he knows he's not going to be able to stand back there and do what he was previously doing.
Well, you feel with that now, could the writing be on the wall for Steve Ng?
And the strategy of Shaheen, impeccable. I mean, playing more of the ball now, making sure his opponent has to work for it. Now, that's the right strategy, but he should have done it from the start. Steve is just struggling a little bit with his movement, you can tell.
And now we have 4 match points for Shahin KHALEDAN. This really is time to dig very, very deep for Steve Ng. And the Iranian has won his very first Davis Cup match here in Singapore. But what a battle it's been. Shahin KHALEDAN defeats Steve Ng in 3 sets. 4-6, 7-6, 7-6. And it's been a marathon battle here. You feel for Steve Ng. He fought ever so hard. On paper, he had no business being this close.
Absolutely.
To Shahin KHALEDAN.
Absolutely, I think Steve did brilliant. I mean, let's not take anything away from this guy. 4-1 down in the second set. In the first set, he looked like he didn't even want to be here. In the third set, 5-1 down, dug himself out of 11 match points, showing his experience and why he's an ATP ranked player. But you know what? You're right, I can't help but feel for Steve, and all those opportunities he couldn't put away. That's really something his coaches are going to work with him on how to close out these matches. These matches are so important. You need to close them out. And he's covered so much ground, and he must be so disappointed, as you can see. But you know, that's just a cruel game of tennis for you. And Shazad, I think we've seen a really, really good match today. Nearly 3 hours of high-octane tennis, counter-punching game against someone who really can hit the ball. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing day of tennis, to be honest.
Absolutely right. Really enjoyed that. And it'll be interesting to see if both those players now will take on that third rubber, which is the doubles. We'll know in half an hour. We'll know before that, actually. But we'll see all of you back in half an hour.
If you're interested, come forward. Come forward. Who wants to answer? You ready? No. Okay, you have already won, so you want to let other people have a chance? Side? Okay, you want to answer. Okay, so put down your hands. Put down your hands. I'll count to 3. Okay, then you put up your hands. 1, 2, 3. All of them? All of them? Okay. So we'll give away the 4 prizes you'll have. So 4 prizes, 2 caps and 2 mitts. Okay, so now is the time for the 2 top prizes in this segment. Okay, the question is, who are the organizers for the Davis Cup? Okay, you raise your hand first. Okay, so you're gonna have a try. Tell me your answer. Can you name it in full? Singapore Tennis Association and Sport Singapore, is that correct? Congratulations, you get to go away with one of the signed tennis balls. Okay, one last signed ball for this segment. Okay, next question. Question is, how many nations are participating in the Asia Oceania Group 3 series? Okay, hands down. We'll do count to 3. Okay, hands down. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so can you tell me your answer? The answer is correct. Congratulations! You get to go away with a signed tennis ball. But don't worry, we'll still have one last segment where you get to win such attractive prizes after the doubles at the end of the day. So stick around and don't go away. The next